This is the brief story of Hypnosis A to Z by Chris Lee and Peter Turner. The book that never was, or at least was only briefly until I discovered it and advised them both how dangerous the vast majority of the contents were. Now, the first thing I noticed when they put an ad on Facebook, which was in November 2011, namely 3 months after they'd both attended together at my show as Guys as Dolls. All of that will make more sense when you look at the videos on the page at the link above or below this video, where my complete review of How to Control Minds by Peter Turner is. I'm mentioning this, Lord, because it just illustrates that back in November 2011, Pete Turner tried to release a project using the name, because Chris Lee's told me that Pete Turner basically wrote it and he had very little in the way of input other than being asked a few questions, and he actually didn't really know what was in it. When I told him what was in it and looked at it in detail with him and pointed out what was actually the dangerous bits about it, then, as you'll see shortly, Pete Turner confirmed after I emailed him back in early 2012, because I tried to get a copy in 2011 sent to me by Chris Lee or Pete Turner, and neither of them ended up doing so. In January 2012, I bought it from library.com, where it was listed briefly, and having bought it, I went through, and it's largely padded with pictures of my student, Chris Lee, who I taught in the early 90s. That's his late mum and dad. His dad was an amazing guy. There's a bit of biography about Chris to kind of give it credibility, because obviously Chris had been doing shows for many years at that point. It seems to be that it was all about Chris's background, but then anything of any major content in terms of techniques other than this interview with Chris Lee. Oh yeah, look, there's that picture again. A picture, incidentally, which, as you'll know if you look at the link above or below this video, is of my copyright, and never did get asked in advance whether or not that could go into the book, or if indeed it could go into the Dice Man documentary. But hey-oh. And sure enough, it was 2011, because it was at my show at Guys and Dolls. Makes more sense when you look at the video above or below this. Anyway, there was stuff in here, various apparently pseudo-inductions, things that could be real inductions, for the reasons that I explain in the video at the link above or below this. And all of this was basically written by Peter Turner and are his ideas. And it's blatantly obvious to a blind man, because there is no attention to health and safety or duty of care. I read through it. I mean, it said health and safety, okay, right? Well, you can't just say we must take any idea you take from this or used at your own risk. You've got a duty of care under duty of care laws. And the fact is, that's not enough, because, as I pointed out to them, it's not enough, because you're blatantly in black and white here taught certain things, which, drop back, we're talking about, things can be dangerous. Anyway, very cleverly, Pete Turner stages pictures to teach it, but in truth, the performance photos of the drop back being done are the vast majority of them in the book were pictures of my student Chris Lee. So, you know, whether it's just coincidental or a purposeful thing to try and make oneself look better, who knows? Anyway, the point is, the way these things were taught in here were potentially far more dangerous than need be. And because of that, having looked at it, I mean, do not put somebody on a bar table like that. the chance of them slipping off, falling off, idiots around it just totally, that was the creme de la creme of craziness, bad ideas, and dangerous. You get the idea. The point being that and this, well, I'm not going to go into it. Suffice to say, there's nothing of worth in here that isn't taught in my transparency template, and tons of me other DVDs and stuff. Details are at the link above or below this video. Full body catalepsy. If you don't do it the way I teach on transparency template, then it's actually illegal to perform in England. But anyway, ambidextrous, which is on how to control minds. Superstar, which is just touching on high idea. But I mention all these and the fact that they're based on source material of mine in the video that's above or below this. Pete and his late dad. It's a nice picture, that. You get the idea. It comes across when you look at it as an attempt, when you know that at this time, based on the emails I've got on file, that Pete Turner openly admitted to me and knew little, if anything, about hypnosis in the emails that started in August 2011. That was the first advert Chris Lee put out on the 19th of November 2011 for it. And you'll notice it does look like, the cover does look like the A to Z Crown, British government, copyright, map cover. And I pointed that out to them as well, the fact that they were breaching copyright. Got proof that it's no longer available on library.com. It's no longer available because the contents were dangerous. That's when Pete Turner, November 2011, first mentioned it. And again, the link that he bought, no longer available. I do have a point to this, as you'll see. I ask, I've got a screenshot file, I ask, what's the crack with this? And he says, the A to Z of hypnosis. And I point out, I'd be careful. Looks like your cover is using Crown Government copyright, A to Z design for basis of cover. They're notorious bastards for suing other people. I go on to give copyright advice and basically say, don't use that cover. At this point, I've not seen the contents of the book. And he starts telling me a little bit about it, saying it's just a series of essays. I say I'll try and get Chris to send me one. Pete Turner says basically he'll send me one. He never does, by the way. He says he doesn't think I'll appreciate much of it because I've got years of knowledge. He says I like what he just done with the star of the show thing, which is explained more fully above or below this video. I point out I taught Chris, and he says yeah, acknowledging the fact that Chris has told him that. And saying it's lots of dual reality patter. In the book, he goes on then to mention about the touching on hypnosis thing, which I respond, and this is back then, you know, this is just as it's coming out, and I point out that I actually taught that on my There's No Such Thing as Hypnosis DVDs. I point out I've already taught it. And that it's on other stuff that he may well have been sent by me. I actually taught that on my There's No Such Thing as Hypnosis DVDs. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I eventually get a copy in January 2012 by buying it from library.com, and I then email early January directly to Pete off Facebook, and I've got those emails on file on a separate hard drive. And here he's letting me know on Facebook that he's replied to my email and he's asked for the literature to be removed. And as you can see, it is about the stage hypnosis book, because I book back, good man, just both start from scratch, leave out the copyrighted stuff and ensure it covers the stuff that they need to know to be safe in case of emergencies, etc., which do happen, sleepers, etc. I'm sure it would then end up being a great book and seller, blah, blah, blah. The point I'm mentioning here this for is that I am the person people come to for duty of care, health and safety training for stage hypnosis, details about licensing, the laws, insurance. I've had the biggest names in the industry come at me at times to pull them out of the shit. And Chris Lee's been aware of that for decades. I've helped him numerous times. Pete Turner was definitely aware of this by January 2012 because my advice on copyright and safety caused them to withdraw the A to Z of Hypnosis from sale. Okay, because there was a cover that was copyright the UK government, basically, and there was a picture inside that hadn't been asked for permission, although I happily did say that they could have permission to use the photograph that was of my copyright. There were some other potential copyright issues, and of course, massive problems regards duty of care and health and safety issues. So they ultimately withdrew it from sale. So that was January 2012. That was 10 years ago because we're in March 2022 now. Pete, I've got hundreds more messages on file from Pete Turner after this. So we kept in contact with me. It's not like we fell out or anything over that. And therefore, he should have felt able to come to me, and the wise thing to do before releasing How to Control Minds, especially given that he acknowledges in the videos that he'd seen the August 2021 social media post, which were based on the Kickstarter project, where I point out that there's things that are dangerous in it and things that he claims to have invented, which in reality, arguably, he hasn't. He should have perhaps maybe reached out to me, and I would have happily, as I've done in the past, given advice, even to the extent that maybe you could have done an interview and I could have shared stuff on health and safety, duty of care, making it legal, lawful, licensed, safe and insured. Things that you're only going to learn by going to the link above or below this, where you'll see the full review about the How to Control Mindset from Peter Turner and the Ellusionist.